पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम् मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। Normally, when there is a roadblock, it does not necessarily mean the end of the road. With roadblocks, we definitely can do something constructive. But then, when a roadblock is accompanied with a mental block, then it can definitely be the end of the road. When there is a mental block, the mind not just doesn't stop thinking. It only stops thinking constructively. The mind gets into a destructive pattern of negative emotions, disempowering thought patterns, which can lead us along the path of depression, frustration, resentment, indignation, and it can lead us to a state which can be also suicidal. Therefore, when there is a mind block, when there is a mental block, it becomes very important not to start letting the mind evaluate our feelings. The feelings that come from the mind cannot be evaluated by the mind. As an example, in a courtroom, the plaintiff or the complainant who is complaining cannot become the judge. The complainant can keep complaining, but he cannot be assigned the role of the judge. The judge needs to take over evaluation and conclusion. We don't need to repress our feelings. Everyone will go through different kinds of feelings because of external factors, unavoidable. Because external situations, after all, are beyond our control. When these unavoidable circumstances evoke feelings, different kinds of feelings, which can be negative, instead of just trying to repress them, which is not going to happen, or evaluate them and take them seriously, it is very important to not let the mind do the part of evaluation. Let the intelligence, the intellect, take over the role of evaluating them. The intellect is like the judge in our internal courtroom. But then we may ask this question: how can the intellect take important decisions, wade through this whirlpool of negativity, negative emotions created by the mind? That is where the intellect needs all the strength. The intellect needs to be strengthened. In those moments, the intellect cannot be left alone. Left alone, it will be overpowered by these negative forces. In a state of depression, when the mind is completely let loose with all kinds of negative feelings, while the intelligence would want to play its role, it may be not fully empowered. Then the question that we all have is, how do we empower our intelligence? How can the intellect play its role? When situations prey on us, P-R-E-Y, when external situations prey on us, we definitely need to pray, P-R-A-Y. It is only our prayers, our genuine prayers, that can strengthen our intellect and ensure that the mind does not take us on a destructive path. In this segment of Sundarakanda, going along with Hanuman and his experience, this is the greatest lesson that we can learn. Hanuman's experience in this segment of Sundarakanda teaches us how even when we are fully equipped to handle all kinds of situations, we can hit roadblocks. Because after all, in any journey, there are going to be roadblocks, but the roadblocks are presented not as the end of the road, are presented for us to be reminded that we need to be constantly connected with our purpose and constantly reminded that after all, it is not our effort alone. Even Hanuman, the great Hanuman, for a moment possibly lost a sense of who is the achiever. Now, all of us sometimes get carried away. Success after success, when it comes, we also get carried away, possibly starting to think, after all, I am the achiever. Whenever that happens, roadblocks are presented to us to be reminded of the fact that our achievements are not our achievements. Our successes are not our successes. And to remain prayerful is what we can always do, and that is what is the root and source of all our success. So this segment of Sundarakanda gives us this very important lesson, and we also will see the challenges that Hanuman faces as his search continues. As Hanuman continues to explore Lanka, continues to go inside the territory of Lanka, crossing several palaces, he finally ends up inside Ravana's palace. And as he explores within this massive, opulent palace of Ravana, overcoming various kinds of temptations, Hanuman happens to be inside the inner chambers of Ravana. And he is presented with a sight which has possibly he has never come across and he never expected to see as well. Tatra divyopamam mukhyam sphatikam ratnabhushitam avekshamano Hanuman dadasha shayanasanam dantakanchana chitrangaihi vaiduryaischa manasanaihi maharhastanaropanam upatairupanam mahadhanaihi. He sees a massive, within the inner chambers, Hanuman sees a series of couches and beds of all kinds, and there in the very center, he sees a ornately decorated, massive couch, and which is decorated with all kinds of diamonds, all kinds of gems. Hanuman has never seen a bed like this. After all, a bed is only meant for sleeping. What is the decoration that is needed? For Hanuman's simple mind possibly is wondering, what does sleeping has to do with all the opulence of a bed? Just because a bed is decorated does not mean one is going to get a peaceful sleep. But here Hanuman cannot digest the kind of opulence that he sees here. He sees grotesquely decorated bed with all kinds of gold, diamonds, gems. And he sees there all around women lying on different kinds of bed in various states. Hanuman, being a brahmachari, is shocked to see something like this. Not easy for somebody like Hanuman to come across this kind of a sight. The whole air is filled with lots, all kinds of fragrances of all kinds. And Hanuman is trying to locate what's going on there. And there, on that very ornately decorated bed, everywhere he sees, all kinds of decorations are there, but on this specific bed, which is massive, there he finds a massive figure. Tasmin Jimuta Samkasham Pradiptottava Kundalam Lohitaksham Mahabahum Maharajata Vasasam. For the first time, Hanuman encounters Ravana. This happens to be Ravana's inner chambers. And Ravana is fast asleep after a bout of drinking. Pitvapi uparatam cha api dadarshasa mahakapihi bhaskare shayane viryam prasuttam rakshasadipam. Possibly after heavy drinking, after bouts of pleasure, here Ravana is fast asleep, but Ravana is massive. Hanuman has not seen somebody endowed with that kind of physical features. He is overtaken, coming at a close quarters. He is able to now, he is observing Ravana, who is, even during sleep, it seems he is all decorated with gold. Maharajatavasasam, Mahabahu. Definitely, this has to be mighty Ravana. Now Hanuman knows he has found Ravana. Nihascha santam yadanagam Ravanam vanarottamam asatya param udvignaha so apasarpata subhitavam. Seems in his sleep, Ravana was hissing like a snake. And the sight was frightening even to Hanuman. After all, Ravana is not an ordinary person. He is definitely mighty, and his might was displayed even during his sleep. It seems Hanuman for a moment was taken aback. And all around him were various kinds of women lying in various postures. Hanuman could not digest the scene that he is seeing, a revolting scene even for Hanuman. And he sees Ravana majestically, like Mount Mandara, it seems, a massive mountain, just like an elephant in a lake, a massive lake surrounded by she-elephants in a forest. His arms were spread like 5-headed serpents. And Hanuman could see, Hanuman is observing Ravana, and he could see every finger of Ravana adorned with gems of all colors. His massive body was like, his every part was like that of an elephant's. And he could see his mighty shoulders with all kinds of scars, demonstration of the fact that he was engaged in many battles and many victories. And Ravana's body was smeared with red sandal. sandalwood paste. All that Hanuman possibly could think looking at. Unfortunately, this Ravana, if he had used his might for something good, he could have made a huge difference to this world. Unfortunately, it is his lack, it is his greed, it is his lust which has driven him to this extent. Possibly Hanuman possibly could only feel pity for the state Ravana is in. After all the revelry through the night, Ravana here is resting there, and the sight is not something which Hanuman could really take. Hanuman saw several wives of Ravana, dozens and dozens of them all around, all of them extraordinarily gorgeous. Some were motionless, some were half asleep, some were possibly dreaming, some were moving in their sleep, but all of them inebriated. All of the smell of liquor permeated the room. The smell of liquor was everywhere. The room was full everywhere. You could see all kinds of vessels thrown around, vessels used for consuming liquor. And he could see people everywhere, all over. It was a massive, it was not a small bedroom, it was a massive, filled with all kinds of ornate cots, ornate couches. And everywhere he could see it was almost like a Strivana, a forest, very, very exotic, ornate forest filled with gorgeous women, decorated in all fashion, wearing all kinds of expensive, fashionable clothes. And then Hanuman spotted there in a prime spot, in a very special position, a well-decorated, slightly standing out cot. Tasameka antavinyaste shayanam shayane shubhe tadasharupa sampannam aparam sakapistriyam. Hanuman saw amongst all those women there, one woman really was looking completely different, a lot more beautiful. There was something very unique about her. She was uniquely beautiful. And there was something very regal about her, very royal, something very magnetic in the way her appearance was. Muktamani samayuktai bhushanaihi suvibhushita. The way she was decorated, her ornaments were very different from what others were adorned with. Vibhushaniyam yivechasva shriya bhavanottamam. Gaurim Kanakavarnabham Ishtamantapurishwari. She definitely looked like the mistress of the place. Kapirmanda Udarim Tatra Shayanam Charurupini. Hanuman actually spotted Mandodari there. But Hanuman, for a moment, did not know it was Mandodari. Definitely, she looked very royal. She looked as somebody who, totally different from every other woman in that room. Satam Drishtva Mahabahur Ushitam Marutatmajaha Takkayamasa Sita Iti Rupa Yavvana Sampada Harsheda Mahata Yukto Nananda Hari Utapaha. Nananda, for a moment, Hanuman was very happy. Hanuman began to rejoice. Because so far, Hanuman's state of mind was he was trying his best, putting a lot of effort, going everywhere. Hundreds and hundreds of places he has scanned. He went around every nook and corner of Lanka, all kinds of palaces. He has not yet tasted success. Now suddenly, to his mind, it looks like he is about to succeed. He looks like he has found Sita. Satam Drishtva Mahabahur Bhushita Marutatmaja. Because the royal look of the lady possibly gave an indication to Hanuman. Most likely, this should be Mother Sita. Takyamasa Sita iti rupa yavvana sampada. Definitely, this beauty has to belong to none other than Sita. Nobody here can be as beautiful as this. Harshana Mahata Yukto Nananda Hariyutama. Hanuman was delighted in this discovery. And then, when this kind of delight happens, he is after all a Vanara. Vanara, there is also, after all, the monkey nature, is always there. Therefore, Valmiki captures that scene and captures how Hanuman reacted to his discovery. Ashpatopyam asa chuchumba pucham nananda chikrida jagau jagama stambhanarohan nivapata bhumau nidashayan swam prakritim kapinam ashpotayam asa. Valmiki says. He says Hanuman clasped his arms. He couldn't contain himself. Nananda and chuchumba pucham. He was so delighted that he started to kiss his tail, it seems. He was thanking the stars. He was in great delight. And Nananda Chikrida Jagau Jagam. He became so playful, started to hum, started to sing. He is started to celebrate. Stambhanarohan Nivapata Bhumo. It seems there was a pillar there. He was so taken aback with this discovery that in that moment of celebration, it seems he started going up and down that pillar, kissing his tail, and singing and celebrating. I have made my discovery. Nidashayan swam prakritim kapina. Valmiki says, prakritim kapina, after all, his nature is also coming out here. Hanuman himself couldn't contain. But then, luckily, Hanuman is not an ordinary monkey. It was only a momentary celebration. But then, somewhere from within, a question arose. Hold on, don't celebrate before properly coming to terms with the situation. Can this be Mother Sita? Something doesn't seem quite right. Something doesn't seem. The setting, the situation, whatever is around, the kind of smell, can Sita Mata let herself in this kind of situation? Something said it is not right. Then he regained his composure. He controlled himself. Avadhuyacham buddhim babhuva avastithatada jagamacha aparam chintam sitam prati mahabhapi. Babhuva avastithatada. He had to bring his mind he had to become grounded again. His mind was going all over. He was jumping all over. He had to be grounded once again, get everything straight, to start thinking straight. And he started telling himself, he started questioning himself. Naravena vyukta sa swaptum arhati bhamini nabhoktum na api alankritum napanam apasevitum. And first of all, can Mother Sita be sleeping here like this, sound sleep, without Rama? I'm sure Mother Sita would be awaiting without sleeping. How can somebody sleeping like this be Sita? How can somebody so very well decorated? How can this be Sita? Nabhoktum api alankritam napanam api sevitum. Definitely, Sita Mata cannot be inebriated, not be intoxicated like this. There's something wrong. Nahirama samah kaschid vedyaita tridashevyapi anyayam iti nischityapana bhumau chacharasaha. Definitely, this cannot be Mother Sita. No, Hanuman, with this thoughts, crashed back to the ground, rooted himself back to the ground, himself just flying high for nothing. That momentary celebration he contained, regained his composure, because he started to question himself. Definitely Sita cannot be peaceful like this. She cannot be digged up when Rama is away. Hanuman recognized this folly. Recognized that it is his disturbed mind that is trying to present wrong pictures to him. So therefore, he reconciled and told him to himself that his search is not over. This is definitely not Sita, and he has to continue his search. And he started to go around again within the inner chambers, room after room. He could see all kinds of exotic food, all kinds. He observed, obnoxiousness everywhere, obnoxious in excess, everything in excess, all kinds of meat, all kinds of food, all kinds of liquor, everything in excess, everything which is unacceptable in excess. And he could see more women everywhere. And Hanuman started to look at each and every woman's face so very close. And something started to trouble him. Nirikshamanacha tatatta striyaha samaha kapihi jagama mahatiya chintam dharmasadvasa shankitaha. It seems Hanuman, in his eagerness, started to look and observe every woman there. And unfortunately, each and every woman there were in different states, very disturbing states. But Hanuman, as he started looking, he also started to think. Valmiki says, Dharma sadhvasya shankitaha. There was a doubt of dharma. Am I doing the right thing? The brahmachari here is in inner chambers of Ravana, women of all kinds in all states, and he is closely observing each and every one. Should I be doing this at all? Am I incurring sin by closely observing each and every woman there? Paradar avarodasya prasuptasya nirikshanam idam kalumam artartam dharmalopata karishyati. I'm looking at the wives of Ravana. Is this the right thing to do? I shouldn't even be looking at them very closely and observing each of their features. Tasya pradur abhuja chinta punaranya manasvinaha nischita ekanta chintasya karya nischya darshinaha. So Hanuman started to think, am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing? Then he started to tell himself, after all, what is that intent with which I am doing what I am doing? Kamam drishtva maya sarva vishwasta ravanastriyaha natume manasak kinchit vaikritya upapadyate. The first thing that he told himself, yes, I am observing every woman there in close quarters, but the good thing is I am not ignited with passion. I am not overtaken with lust. That shows only one thing, my intent is pure. I am only carrying out the task of trying to discover Sita. So when I am looking at the way with which I look at them is with a purpose which is noble, a purpose of executing Rama's mission, and therefore there is no foul desire which is driving me to do that. Therefore, I am not crossing the line of dharma here, and therefore what I am doing is right. So Hanuman tells this to himself, and his steady mind, now his mind, he says, with my pure mind, I am steady and my actions are justified. And therefore, all that I'm doing is just trying to see whether Mother Sita can be found anywhere at all. Deva Gandharva Kanyacha Kanyacha Vivyavan Avekshamano Hanuman Nayeva Apashyat Janaki. All kinds of women are there. Deva Gandharva Kanyacha, Naga Kanyacha Vivyavan. All kinds of, all classes, all kinds of divine being women are there, but he couldn't see Sita Mata anywhere. Nowhere he could see a trace of her. And therefore, Hanuman now is beginning to get a little worried. Now, he's possibly covered all kinds of places. Satasya madhye bhavanasya vanaro latagrihan chitragrihan nishagrihan jagama sita pratidarshana utsako nachayevatam pashyati charudarshana. All kinds of palaces, all kinds of houses, all kinds of rooms. He went in, went out, every nook and corner, he couldn't find Mother Sita. Now is Hanuman is not only finding a roadblock, is also experiencing the mental block. So far, there were roadblocks and he could manage to find ways across. But now, the roadblock now is also being accompanied with mental block. Now he is no longer able to think constructively. His mind is now starting to begin weaving a destructive pattern. He starts to think. Our minds often makes problems seem worse than what they actually are. A small problem is so magnified, and when it is magnified, the mind often makes every small failure look like a catastrophe. It could be very small, but suddenly we start to think it is so very catastrophic. The situation worsens and the mind uses that worsened situations to beat us down. The mind takes an opportunity and it starts to beat us down. Eventually, our seeing the failure is not a catastrophe. It is what makes it more catastrophic is the mind starts to weave a pattern which is actually not existing. This is what exactly is happening to Hanuman. Now, Hanuman is looking at there, saying, now I did not find Mother Sita anywhere. Something untoward seems to have happened. Something that shouldn't have happened has happened. Bhuishtam Lodita Lanka Ramasya Charata Priyam Nahi Pashyavi Vaidehim Sitam Sarvanga Shwapanam. I'm not able to find anywhere that auspicious Sita everywhere. Everywhere I go, I don't find that. It has been said definitely conclusively that Sampati has confirmed that Ravana has taken Sita. Now, see the way now a pattern of destructive pattern is being woven. If Sampati is confirmed that Ravana has taken Sita, and I am not able to find Sita in Lanka, so which means something should have happened in between. So maybe Sita has slipped from the Pushpaka Vimana, has fallen into the ocean and sunk. And that's the reason why she is not here. Or maybe she was struggling while Ravana was abducting her, and in that struggle, maybe Ravana killed her. And that is the reason why I don't find her. Nivedyamane doshasyat anivedanam katam na kalu kartavyam vishamam pratibhati me. Now, how I will carry this news to Rama? How will I go back and say Sita is no more? How am I going to, what shall I do? I am now finding a helpless, hopeless situation now. Hanuman is slowly getting into a state of depression. His mind is weaving negative thought patterns, leading him into a state of depression. If I go back carrying this news, what's going to happen? If I go back and say Sita is not anymore, if I say while crossing the ocean, she has slipped and fell into the ocean and sunk, or Ravana has killed her, what is going to happen? Rama, when he is going to get this news, once he knows Rama is not going to stay any longer, Rama is going to sacrifice himself. And when that disaster happens, what is going to happen to Lakshmana? Can Lakshmana live one moment after Rama's departure? Lakshmana is also going to take his prana and he is going to accompany Rama as he departs. And when Rama and Lakshmana depart, what is going to happen to Bharata? Bharata is definitely going to immolate and he is also going to end his life. When these brothers give up their lives, what is going to happen to the three queens of Ayodhya? All the three queens of Ayodhya are also going to end their lives. And looking at all these disasters, Sugriva is going to decide that enough is enough. I will also consume poison and I will also take my life. When Sugriva dies, how can Ruma live? Ruma also will end up sacrificing herself. And when Roma dies, what is going to happen to Tara? Tara, as it is, was only waiting to support Roma and Sugriva, and Tara will decide that enough is enough, and she will also give up her life. When Tara gives up her life, what is going to happen to Angada? Angada can no longer live. Angada will also die. What is going to happen to all the thousands and thousands of Vanaras? All the Vanaras are also going to fast unto death and they will die. When all the Vanaras die, what will happen to all their families, their wives and children? All of them will also end up sacrificing their lives, and the entire Vanara clan will be completely destroyed. Look at this whole picture nicely weaving woven, and Hanuman is getting into an abysmal state of distress, and this negative thought patterns as it builds, finally he says, maybe I should completely give up on life. Maybe I should become just an ascetic without eating anything and sacrifice myself. Maybe I should jump into fire and immolate. Maybe I should jump into water and I should commit suicide. When a roadblock is combined with the mental block, and when a small failure gets magnified, and when we let the feelings that come from the mind to be evaluated by the mind and conclusions made, when we let the mind loose to weave its negative thought patterns, it can only lead one on the path of destruction that can go all the way up to a state of committing a suicide. After having reached such a state, Hanuman, for a moment, luckily for him, takes a pause. Vinashe bahavo dosha jivan prapnoti bhadrakam tasmat pranam dhirashyami dhruvo jivita sangamam. If one commits suicide, one commits a sin. One has no right to take one's life. If one needs success, the prerequisite is one needs to live. There is no success if one doesn't live. What is the point by taking life? Because there is no auspiciousness, there is no success. Life is given in order to achieve certain things. Therefore, one needs to live. Not by stopping life, one cannot succeed. So Hanuman is now reversing those negative thought patterns. After all, life is only an admixture of good times and bad times. Giving up during bad times is very easy. Anybody can give up. But the strength of character is not to give up during bad times. To be patient, to wait for the tide to turn. And Hanuman starts to do self-talk to himself. Anirveda Shriyo Moolam, Anirveda Param Sukham, Anirvedo Isatatam Sarve, Atteshu Pavartakaha, Karoti Sapalam Chantoho, Karmayaccha Karoti Saha, Tasmat Anirveda Kratam, Yatnam Cheshte Ahamuttamam, Adrishtam Cha Vicheshyami, Eshan Ravana Palitan. Best way to engage in any action is to first get out of the state of depression. No point to take any decisions when the mind is pushing one into a state of depression. Anirveda Shriyo Moolam, Anirveda Param Sukham. Non-depression is a prerequisite. One needs to pull oneself somehow out of that state of depression. Anirvedo hi satatam sarva arteshu pravartakaha. For all goodness to happen, for the right decisions to take, it's very important not to get pulled into the whirlpool of depression. One needs to, with great effort, pull oneself out of a state of depression. Karoti sapalam jantoho karmayaccha karoti saha. In any action, Any action will be successful only when the negative thought patterns, one does not succumb to them. So Hanuman talks to himself. The positive self-talk encourages Hanuman to lift his head, and look. And when he lifts his head, literally, and looks, he sees something which was always there, but which he could never see before. This is the beauty. The way we many times we think we are actually seeing, but many times, even if our eyes are seeing, we don't actually see. If the mind doesn't cooperate, we don't really see. Many times we think we are listening, we are hearing, but we are actually not hearing, we are not listening. If the mind doesn't cooperate, we don't really listen. The same thing, even with eating. The same laddu will not taste if the mind doesn't cooperate. So therefore, Hanuman recognizes something very important here. Unless the mind is made to cooperate, all his indriyas are not going to work the way they should work. So therefore, when he looks up and he sees something which is already there, but he sees finally what he sees. Ashokavanika cha api mahati yam mahakruma yam abhigamishyavi nahiyam vichitamaya. The massive Ashokavana is very much there, and right from Ashokavatika is right there in front of him. Until now, it did not strike him that he actually should explore the Ashokavatika. It was there, but now he could see. Until then, he couldn't see it. Because why? Everything was blocked. He was in a state of depression and everything to him was blocked. Now, with unblocking his mind, he could now also unblock his vision and actually see. And now he says, now I see this beautiful, very inviting garden there. Maybe this is what I should explore. And before his exploration, let's see how Hanuman is going to pull himself completely out of the whirlpool of depression. How he is unblocking his mind, how he is destroying all the roadblocks and the mental blocks. Hanuman, immediately, once he looks at Ashokavana, he begins to chant, Vasun Rudram Tatha Adityam Ashvino Maruta Picha Namakritva Gamishyami Rakshasam Shokavardhanaha. No, Hanuman, he knows the Vedas and the Vedangas, and he knows he has been suicidal in his thoughts. So therefore, the first and foremost thing that he does, he starts to pray for a long life. The Vedas teach that the prayers for long life should begin by praying to all the devatas. We all know the Ayush Sukta has a similar prayers. Vasum Rudran Adityan Marutota Sadhyan Devum Yakshan Gandharvaguscha Pitraguscha Vishwa. This is prayers to all kinds of devatas. This is recognized. Hanuman recognizes that he is not alone. So far, he thought that in his endeavor to serve Rama, to serve Bhagavan, he is alone. He was thinking that he is the one alone in this mission. Suddenly he recognizes that after all, this is not his mission. All the devatas want this mission to happen. It is not he wanting to succeed. The entire universe is conspiring for his success. He shouldn't be thinking that he is alone. All the devatas are in fact waiting for the success of this mission. He should recognize that whatever has so far happened it is not his effort alone. There is a contribution. He recognizes that every act that is done is a cooperative act. In cooperation with all the devatas, and therefore he begins by praying for a long life, and then jitva tu rakshasan devim ikshvaku kulanandinim sampradayasya viramaya yatha siddhim tapasvinim. Now he makes an affirmation. Now I definitely will be blessed to discover, not only discover Sita, but present this discovery as my gift to Rama. I will be presenting Rama's message to Sita and Sita's message to Rama. Samuhurtam ivadhyatva chinta igrata indriyaha uttishtan mahabahur Hanuman marutatvajaha. Hanuman, is pulling himself out of all his worries and regaining his composure. He stands up to get ready for the act. And how does he strengthen himself? How does he strengthen his intellect? The only way that Hanuman knows is the right way is to pray to that Paramatma, his Bhagavan. Namostu Ramaya Salakshmanaya Daivyai Chatasya Janakatmajayaha. Now, Hanuman, this is a very special prayer here. A very, very special prayer. Because Hanuman, obviously, so far has been praying everywhere to Rama. Now, Hanuman prays to Rama, obviously, and he also prays to Lakshmana, and more importantly to Sita. This is the first time Hanuman prays to Sita. He recognizes and realizes that to discover her, he needs her blessing. Lakshmiyaja Hrishikesha, so Savior, the Vedas say it is together with Mahalakshmi that Bhagavan protects us. So it is her grace which is a prerequisite, and therefore Hanuman begins to invoke her grace. He prays to Sita and he prays to Rama. He knows Rama will definitely ensure the victory. He prays to Lakshmana, recognizing that he needs to be like Lakshmana in being successful in Kainkarya. If Rama Kainkarya has to succeed, he's praying to Lakshmana also to ensure that he will be as successful as Lakshmana in executing with this mission and performing Rama Kainkarya. Therefore, Hanuman is praying, Namostu Ramaya Salakshmanaya, Daivyai Chatasya Janakatmajaya. And then he also continues his prayers, praying to several other deities. Very interesting prayer here. Namostu Rudra, Rudrendra Yama Anilebhyaha, Namostu Chandrarka Maruta Ganebhyaha. He is saluting Rudra, Indra, Yama, Anila, Chandra, Surya, and Marutaganas. First, he prays to Rama, he prays to Lakshmana, he prays to Sita Mata. Then he continues the prayers, praying to Rudra, Indra, Yama, Anila, Surya, Chandra, and Marutaganas. First and foremost, we need to understand that it is his, when faced with a situation like this, instead of protesting, Hanuman is transforming the protest into a prayer. And he recognizes that it is this prayer which is giving him the strength. So therefore, he first prays to Paramatma. He prays to the foremost servant, Lakshmana. Then he prays to Sita, the Lokamata. Then he knows that Ravana is a great Shiva Bhakta. But he also knows that in this mission, obviously, he knows on whose side Shiva is. He knows even Shiva also wants this mission to succeed. Therefore, all the deities that each deity has a specific relevance to the situation. The deities that he has chosen now. Namostu Rudra Indra Yama Anilaha, which is Vayu. Namostu Chandra Surya Marutaganebhyaha. While Ravana could be a Shiva Bhakta, he knows that Shiva will not tolerate, and therefore he knows on whose side Shiva is. So therefore he starts to invoke Shiva's grace here. Then he takes up praying to Indra, and he knows that he is on behalf of all the Devaganas, because it was Indra and all the Devatas who started. It is their prayers which was the beginning point for Rama Avatar. So therefore he prays to Indra to also to be with him as he goes on to the final phase of his discovery. Then he prays to Yama, because he wants Yama to start to calculate all the misdeeds and the associated punishments that need to be rendered to Ravana. He also prays to his own father, Vayu Bhagavan, and he prays to Chandra and Surya, who are to guide him through the night and through the day as he goes along to the final phase of his discovery. And then he prays to the Marutaganas, the warriors, the stormy wind deities, because what Hanuman is going to do is just blow off the whole place very soon. And therefore, praying to all these deities, Hanuman begins his possibly the final phase of his search. And he knows this is his final phase because he is now convinced and confident that he is going to make his discovery, and Hanuman sets sight on Ashokavana. Until Hanuman starts to explore, until then, let us contemplate on a very important message that Hanuman gives us today as to how prayers can unblock our minds and give us the strength to let our intelligence evaluate our feelings and take right decisions. Jai Shri Ram.